Hello, I'm Ellen and I'm a Schools and Colleges Liaison Officer at Royal Holloway, University of London. This video talks about research skills that you may need at university. Royal Holloway is based in Egham, in Surrey, about 40 minutes by train from central London. We offer over 250 different undergraduate courses in a whole variety of subjects. And I'll tell you how you can find out more about Royal Holloway at the end of this video. So let's talk about research skills. There are two main types of research. Primary research, which includes scientific experiments, surveys and questionnaires, interviews, or visiting museums, and secondary research, which is finding out information and gathering data in the form of websites, articles, books, either online or physically in a library. You'll do this a lot at university, so this is what we're going to focus on in this video. While completing your secondary research, you'll be looking for sources, pieces of information related to your topic. You'll either be looking at primary or secondary sources. Primary sources were created at the time under study. For example, someone's diary, a document, a manuscript, a recording, and things like that. Secondary sources are created later by somebody who wasn't actually there at the time under study, but they often analyse or add to an argument about an event. These sources can be in all kinds of different forms, printed or physical, such as books, physical journals, newspapers, artworks, exhibits in museums, or online, such as websites, videos, ebooks, articles, and lots more. Whatever form they're in, it's important to evaluate the sources that you find. Think about these things. Are your sources accurate? Do they make any claims, and do they back them up with sources themselves? Who's the author of the source? What are their credentials, and do they have any particular bias? When was the source last updated? You want to be working with the most current sources you can find. And, probably most importantly, how are the sources relevant to your work? Think about what purpose it will serve in your assignment. For books, it's important to know that you might not necessarily be able to know if it's relevant or a good source by its cover. You can check by looking at these things. Its year of publication, so you can check if it's relevant or current. You can read the blurb, which is usually in the back of the book or on the inside, which provides an introduction. You can check the contents or index pages to see if the topics that you're looking at are relevant. You can look at the classification system that will be put in place by your library. Or you can look at a library database search engine to see if the keywords collected to the book are relevant. For online sources, looking at their accuracy and relevance may be a little bit more difficult. One example is Wikipedia. As you may know, Wikipedia is a web-based encyclopedia maintained by the public. It's often not best practice to use Wikipedia itself as a source because it can be maintained or changed by volunteers or the public at any time. However, you can use it as a starting point. Did you know that lots of claims made on Wikipedia articles are backed up by sources? Next time you're looking at a Wikipedia article, pay attention to the sources at the bottom. So how do you find these sources for your assignments? For printed or physical resources, you'll have to access somewhere, like a library, an archive, a museum, or a gallery. Libraries will often have a search catalogue in place. This may be different at school, at university, or at college. To find online sources, you'll probably start your search with Google. But did you know that there's more than just your standard Google search? A regular Google search is great for quick statistics and facts as long as you can verify that they're coming from a reliable source. Google Scholar is great for finding academic published arguments about different topics. And Google Books will search for available, usually non-fiction books that are online. To start your search, you need to identify keywords. These are related to your research topic and your research question. Try writing down as many as you can. Then, find synonyms for the words to give you the best chance at finding more sources. Boolean logic is a search technique that you can use on online searches to get either a wider net or a more narrow net of results. Imagine 3 keywords, education, teacher, and college, as a Venn diagram. Now each segment of the diagram represents a pool of possible results which you can only access if you're using the right search terms. Boolean logic operators help you to retrieve results from the exact segments you want. They use words like and, or, and not. And can connect keyword in order to focus searches. Or provides an alternative words which will widen your search. and not excludes common alternative words to make sure that your search is the most relevant it can be. Here is an example of what you would get if you'd use and for your keywords, or in your keywords. As you can see, and makes your search more specific, and or makes your search more wide. And here's what you get when you use not. For example, here you can use education or teacher, but not college, or you could use education and teacher and not college as well. One type of source that you'll use a lot in university are journal articles. Academic journals publish peer-reviewed articles written by experts in their fields, and there are so many out there on lots of different subjects. They're usually accessed online. You can find them through Google Scholar or through your university, school or college's library search database. One useful thing about journal articles is that they all come with an abstract, a very short summary that tells us what was studied and what the findings were. These can be really useful to decide if an article is going to be relevant to your work, and either you can keep reading or move on. An important part of research is note-taking. Once you've found your sources, you'll need to look at taking notes. First, read abstracts or summaries, and select the most relevant sources to read more in depth. Make sure that you bookmark these or print them out so that you can find them again. There's nothing worse than losing a great source. Then, take notes and keep your notes organised. You may want to do this on pen and paper or in a Word document, and you can do a table like this. Here are some ideas to help you take more effective notes. Make sure that you identify your research question on what you're going to base your assignment on, and keep that in mind throughout the entirety of your research. Research a number of different views. It's good to have different opinions around the topic. Being critical is good as long as you have a basis for it. Group your information in a logical way. Use subgroups to make sure that you understand what each source was about. And finally, refer to quotes to support your work. Whenever you use a quote, you need to make a note of this in your notes so that you don't accidentally plagiarise. Let's talk about referencing and plagiarism. Referencing is the process of acknowledging the sources that you've used in your assignment. By referencing the works of experts, you add weight to your comments and arguments. There's a variety of different styles you can use to reference work, and they may be different depending on what university, school or college you attend. Plagiarism is taking someone else's work or ideas and passing them off as your own. This can include using quotes without acknowledging their origin, using a reference in your bibliography without noting where you've used it in your text, completely submitting somebody else's work as your own, or paraphrasing another author's work. Here's how you can avoid plagiarism. Start early. Give yourself plenty of time to pay attention to what you're reading and make sure that you take appropriate notes. Proofread. It doesn't take too much time, so you should scan and read your work and your referencing as much as you can to check that everything's cited correctly. Keep good quality notes. The better and more detailed your notes are, the easier it is to reference other authors. And use online checkers. Services like BibMe, Citation and RefMe will create references for you. Check them out and know how to use them. To summarise, here are our top tips for researching while at university. Of course, work out what your purpose is in your research. Try and keep your research question in mind at all times. Don't be afraid to explore all types of sources. Make sure that you keep notes on what you've read and where it's from. Talk to your teachers, librarians and other experts about how best to search for what you need. Look wider than your question. Using synonyms or Boolean search logic can help you find great results. Learn how you research best. This is something that you can get in the habit of now that will serve you very well at university. And finally, don't fall into the plagiarism trap. If you want to find out more about Royal Holloway, please visit our website, order or download a prospectus, or find us on social media. Thank you for listening.